how studying history could prevent future disasters.
We live in a world with much history. Many things have happened and have been repeated throughout history. Some examples are genocides, war, depression, and terrorism.
Studying history is where students could increase their knowledge into knowing the history and prevent future disasters from happening once again, and ruin what people had been protecting since then, called human rights and freedom to live peacefully.
We took a look at genocides that have happened throughout the year. The Armenian genocide took place on April 24, 1915 to 1918. The people that were a great threat to the Turks were non-Turks, especially Christian non-Turks. In World War I, the Turks joined the side of Germany. The Armenians would organize battalions to help the Russian army. The Turkish government in 1915 set out a plan to annihilate the Armenians that were living in the Ottoman Empire. They were sent to death marches, and people who stopped were shot. The government made killing squads that were made up of ex-convicts who drowned, threw people off cliffs, crucified, and burned the Armenian people. There were about 1.5 million people dead or forced out of the country out of about 2 million people. Even today, the Turkish government will not admit to something like that happening.
During April 1975, the country of Cambodia was controlled by a communist group known as the Khmer Rouge that was led by Pol Pot. Vietnam War occurred during 1970 to 1973, and Cambodia got in between of the two parties, which are the North Vietnam and pro-Western South Vietnam. The United States was used by the Khmer Rouge to recruit followers and as an excuse for brutal policies they exercised when they were in power. The Khmer Rouge victimized all the educated people in Cambodia. Christian, Buddhists, and Muslims were the ones who got targeted. To form a society without conflict, where people work for good of the entire society. Khmer Rouge located people in cooperative living arrangement to instruct them to adopt the new lifestyle that Khmer Rouge wanted them to live in. People who refused to be re-educated were brutally killed in the fields. For over 4 years, Khmer Rouge was in power. He killed more than 1.7 million people through work, starvation, and torture.
Many people didn't know Many people didn't really know about what the Holocaust is. The word Holocaust means the Greek word holo, which means whole, and caust means quartos, which means burn. It was historically meant that Holocaust is taken by offering burn in the altar, but this word is now used to mean to horrible event, and it happens in late 1930s. The Nazis killed almost 6 million Jews, and it ended in 1945 during the World War II. It was because of the Nazis hated the Jews, and they thought that Nazis is better than race than the Jews. They sent the Jews to the concentration camps by the trains and others means of transportation. There are 3 types of camps: Red Cross camps, work camps, and death camps. Red Cross camp would be allowed to go to those camps and medically attend to the Jews. Work camps and death camps is where gas are killed in the other ways. The Jews were killed in various ways. They were either worked to death, killed by the gas camps, or killed by other cruelties.
Similarities between these 3 genocides is that people are being annihilated by a so-called superior leader, where people are being tortured for no reason, starved, and killed brutally. People then had no idea how to get themselves away from the disasters that they involved in. People were too afraid to stand for themselves or others, thinking that they don't have the power or right to disagree.
Many people agree in the saying, those that do not learn from history are doomed to repeat itself. They all stated similar facts according to the survey results provided. They all believed that at least learning or studying the history, it would be benefit to us in a way that younger minority groups would be able to learn the facts that the world is much dangerous than we already know, and by studying history it would save us from having future disasters from happening once again and take control of people and manipulate them like animals. Just what happened in Holocaust, Cambodia, 1975, and the Armenian genocide, and were millions of people all wiped out and tortured to death.
Those people who did not agree stated the similar facts according to the survey data that we created to collect data, believe that studying history is not necessary for students because of the fact that our world is much more advanced now where technology could do possibly anything, where everyone could get access in every part of the world and could easily spread a warning for people to be aware of future disasters. That by learning history would not change anything and make any difference in the world.
Okay, I think that knowing about history, what has happened and what the results were of certain events in history are very useful for the future. If people take the time to learn from things that have happened in history. Sometimes things happen and time passes and people forget the lesson that was learned. And we have to make the same mistakes again and learn it all over. So I think if we paid attention to history, we could avoid future mistakes. Thank you.
Yes, I think that we should teach history to our younger generation so that they're more aware of the past and they learn to accept and respect other minority groups around them so that in future we don't have any further genocides, mass murders like we did before.
Alright, so I think that if we understand history, it'll make possibly a big difference in the world. Especially when it comes to things like World War II, the Holocaust, major events that were huge mistakes in human history where we learned valuable lessons about how we need to treat one another. By understanding and knowing what happened in the past, we can see when we are going down the same road and avoid making the same mistakes. So for instance, it already happened once in history. After World War I, the Treaty of Versailles was very harsh on Germany, and one of the men who organized the treaty said, this isn't peace, it's going to result in war again in 20 years. And 20 years and 65 days after he signed that treaty, Germany declared war on Europe. So then after the war ended, World War II, this time they didn't sign an agreement like that. They did something completely different, and it led to peace. So we've already learned from a mistake like that. Basically, by knowing what happened in the past in history, it can help us prevent making similar mistakes in the future.
I think it's important to know about history so we don't repeat the mistakes of our past. For example, with World War II and the atrocities committed, if people don't know what horrors mankind is capable of, we're too apt to repeat them.
I think we should study history and learn about what happened in history, because if we didn't know about all the slavery and things that happened back then maybe it would repeat itself.
Studying history is the only way we can help to make a difference in the world. If everybody knows what is the difference between protecting human rights and torture, then it will create a worldwide peace. There will be also less conflicts and more accepting of the other culture and religions. By studying the history, we get a better understanding of what happened and ways we could prevent the future disasters. We can make sure that different methods that were used in the past can be altered to be better used in the future. History should be something everyone should study and learn from.
Some good points to studying history is that we learn different things, understand different cultures, and try to become a better citizen. We can be more helpful to the world by doing this action. History has many different areas of study, and by studying them we can get a better knowledge and understanding of our past and also can prevent it from happening again. Thank you.